Someone once told her, in order to re-find happiness, she had to seek out that moment when she stopped being honest, stopped listening to, stopped liking herself. She tried to think back, but always with the same results. She'd been lying to herself her whole life. Little things, insignificant things, big things, crazy things, and then forgot them all. To the casual observer, she had all the appearances of being fairly held together. Confident and outgoing, charming when she needed to be. If you asked her, she'd tell you candidly how she liked and loathed people in equal amounts. People fascinated her, but always from a distance. A decidedly solitary individual. She preferred her own company. It had always been that way. She could never see how anyone would appreciate her little ways. Alone, she'd never have to admit to the things that kept her afloat. Alone was never having to explain why the packet of biscuits disappeared along with her coffee, or how her bank balance only ever seemed to look healthy one day a month when she'd breathe a little easier before kissing it all goodbye just as quick. Her life was a series of practice gestures, and people were mirrors, reflecting the lumps and bumps she tried her best never to see. Her belief was that no one could ever possibly love her broken and damaged bits, screwed up pieces of her that kept her together. Bravado played a huge part in her philosophy, along with the pursuit of absolute honesty. She developed a theory of the places people had to be honest with themselves, the places where it's impossible to escape the truth of our own bodies. She narrowed it down to 3. No more, no less. The first, she decided, was on the toilet. A deeply personal act of elimination, both cleansing in the physical and psychological, laced with a weird sense of guilty pleasure. That two-stone lighter feeling that no one can deny feels oh so terribly good. Clothes part in the middle in opposite directions, exposing the soft underbelly to one's gaze as it protrudes in a pouch that hovers over the legs. Like it or not, you've got to be okay with the fact that it is impossible to hold your stomach in while you try to push shit out. The physics of it all don't work that way. Without the need to feel awkward or apologise, safe in the knowledge that all sins get flushed away. The second, she figured, is in masturbation. The most honest sex one can ever have. Not the most exciting, granted, but honesty doesn't always equal excitement. Having discovered the virtues of masturbation, she created herself a rule. Anyone who says they don't engage in a little self-pleasure is either lying or stupid, and not to be trusted either way. In her opinion, all humans are wankers, and if we could only just embrace this, the world would be a much more contented place. In a drunken conversation one night, she reached the conclusion that no matter how depraved the sexual antics with a lover, the sexual deviancy of a wank was on a whole other level. Her solitary self-fuck, she reckoned, had the special kind of power to take her mind and body to the exact places she knew by rote. Uninhibited, unashamed, and emancipated. A survival tool, if you will. And next to nicotine, the only thing keeping her sane. The third and final place she mused was in the balmy sprinkling of the shower. Now, not the bath, the shower. This was her sanctuary. This place was where she cleaned herself of the toil of the day. The stresses and worries simply melt away. In this place, she is naked and unafraid to be naked, inescapably, unabashedly, free of shame, cleansed and reborn, refreshed and renewed, Rain, fingertipped water kisses dancing on warming skin, wrapped in imagined embrace, wishing somehow the gentle spray was a lover's arms, surrounding and consuming, lost in sweet surrender. Of course, you could also read this another way. These places were all the places where she was alone. Intimacy and honesty was only intimacy and honesty with herself. No more, no less.